Jake stood at the edge of the observation deck and watched the stars shimmer beyond the transparent walls. The Galactic Council headquarters, a massive station called Harmony Prime, floated in neutral space between 12 different star systems. He had been here for 3 weeks now, and every day felt like walking through a museum where humanity was the strange exhibit everyone whispered about. Emma Collins joined him at the window. She carried a data pad pressed against her chest, and her face showed the kind of tension that came from reading bad news. Jake knew that look. He had seen it enough times during their diplomatic mission. They rejected the petition again, Emma said. Her voice was quiet but angry. 5th time this month. Jake turned away from the stars. What reason did they give this time? Same as always. They say Earth doesn't meet the standards for advanced trade status. Ambassador filed another report claiming we exaggerate our world's challenges. Emma pulled up a document on her data pad. Look at this. He wrote that Earth is a pleasant garden world with moderate conditions. He says humans make up stories about our planet to seem more impressive. Jake felt his jaw tighten. He had spent 5 years in the Marine Biology Corps before joining the diplomatic service. He had dived in oceans where the pressure could crush steel. He had studied creatures that could kill with a single touch. Earth was many things, but pleasant was not one of them. They keep calling us liars, Jake said. Every human delegate who comes here gets the same treatment. They smile and nod and then vote against us. Emma scrolled through more files. I've been looking into the Council's classification system. Something doesn't add up. According to their own standards, Earth should be rated much higher in danger level. But in their official database, we're listed as a Class 2 world. That's the same rating as where the biggest predator is the size of a house cat. Can you prove they made a mistake? That's the thing, Jake. I don't think it was a mistake. Emma lowered her voice and glanced around the observation deck. 2 diplomats walked past, their 3 eyes glancing at the humans with barely hidden contempt. Emma waited until they left before continuing. I accessed some old council records, the ones from when humanity first made contact. The initial survey team rated Earth as a Class 7. That's the highest rating for any inhabited planet in the galaxy. Jake stared at her. Class 7, but the current records say Class 2. The classification was changed 6 months after first contact. No explanation given, just a quiet amendment to the database. Emma pulled up 2 documents side by side. Look, here's the original survey. They documented everything. The predators, the diseases, the weather extremes, the gravity, even the oxygen levels. The team leader wrote that Earth was one of the most hostile inhabited worlds ever discovered. Then here's the revised classification. All that data was removed, replaced with generic descriptions that make Earth sound like a peaceful farming colony. Jake took the data pad and read through both reports. The difference was shocking. The first survey described Earth as a nightmare world where even the plants could kill you. The second report made it sound boring and safe. Why would they change it? Jake asked. I have a theory, Emma said. Think about what a Class 7 rating means. Produce the toughest species in the galaxy. Every other Class 6 or Class 7 world has species that dominate their regions of space. The Council probably looked at humans and got scared. We were new, we were expanding fast, and we came from a planet that should have killed us all, so they buried the truth. Jake handed back the data pad. If you're right, this is bigger than trade status. This is about keeping humanity weak. Exactly. As long as the galaxy thinks we're from a soft world, they don't take us seriously. We can't get proper trade agreements. We can't access advanced technology markets. We're stuck as second-class members because the Council wants us that way. A chime sounded through the observation deck. A synthetic voice announced that the Council session would begin in 10 minutes. Jake and Emma headed toward the assembly chamber. The corridors of Harmony Prime were built for species of all sizes, with multiple levels of walkways and varying gravity zones. Humans walked in the standard gravity sections, which most species found uncomfortably heavy. The assembly chamber was enormous. Thousands of delegates from hundreds of worlds filled the circular seating arrangements. Humans had 12 seats in the outer ring, the section reserved for junior members. The inner rings belonged to the founding species and major powers. High Chancellor took his position at the center platform. The avian leader spread his wings in a gesture of authority. His feathers shimmered with implanted circuitry that translated his speech into every known language. "We gather to address the human petition for advanced trade status," announced. "Ambassador has prepared the opposition statement." Ambassador glided to the speaking platform. The diplomat was tall and thin, with skin that changed colors based on his mood. Right now, it showed the confident blue of someone who expected an easy victory. "Honored Council," began, "I must once again recommend rejection of the human petition. The species presents itself as hardy and capable, but evidence suggests otherwise. There, which they claim is dangerous, shows no remarkable characteristics. I have reviewed the updated survey data. Earth is a Class 2 garden world with standard biodiversity and comfortable conditions." Emma leaned close to Jake. He's reading from the fake report. Continued. "Humans have a tendency toward exaggeration. They tell stories of deadly creatures and extreme weather, but these tales are inconsistent with observed reality. I propose that humanity's petition be until they can provide honest assessments of their capabilities." Several council members made sounds of agreement. Jake felt his anger rising. They were calling his entire species liars based on data. Emma stood up suddenly. The movement drew attention from nearby delegates. Humans rarely interrupted council sessions. "I request permission to speak," Emma said loudly. Looked surprised but gestured his approval. "The human delegate may approach." Emma walked down to the speaking platform, moved aside with obvious annoyance. Emma pulled out her data pad and connected it to the chamber's display system. "Honorable Council," Emma said, "I have evidence that Earth's classification is incorrect. The original survey rated our world as Class 7, but this rating was changed without proper review. I am presenting both reports now." The chamber's massive screens lit up with the two documents. Thousands of delegates suddenly had access to the contradictory information. A murmur of confusion spread through the assembly. Skin flashed orange with alarm. "This is highly irregular. The current classification was approved by proper channels." "Then you won't mind explaining why the original data was suppressed," Emma said. She looked directly at. "You claim Earth is safe and comfortable. I challenge you to visit our world and prove it. Walk through our forests, swim in our oceans, breathe our air. If Earth is truly a Class 2 world, you should have no problems." The chamber erupted in noise. Delegates shouted questions and arguments, raised his wings for silence. "This is a serious accusation," said. "Ambassador, do you accept this challenge?" Skin flickered through several colors. Jake could see the calculation in the alien's 3 eyes. If refused, it would look like admission that Earth was dangerous. If he accepted and failed, it would prove the humans right. "I accept," said finally. His skin settled into a defiant purple. "I will personally lead an assessment team to Earth. When we return with proof that your world is ordinary, this council will reject your petition permanently." Emma smiled. It was not a friendly expression. "I look forward to showing you our home, Ambassador." Jake watched from his seat as Emma returned to the human section. The council session dissolved into chaos as delegates argued about proper procedure and classification standards. But Jake wasn't paying attention to any of that. He was thinking about what would happen when aliens who had evolved on safe, gentle worlds tried to survive on Earth. They were about to learn the truth about. And humanity was about to force the galaxy to admit what it had been hiding for years. The transport ship broke through Earth's atmosphere with a shudder that made half the alien delegation grip their seats. Jake watched Ambassador's face turn from purple to a sickly green as turbulence shook the vessel. The diplomat had been confident during the entire journey from Harmony Prime, but now his three eyes were wide with something that looked like fear. "This is normal atmospheric entry," Jake said calmly. "Nothing to worry about." Said nothing. His breathing apparatus hissed as it filtered Earth's air into something his lungs could process. Every member of the alien assessment team wore similar equipment. Earth's atmosphere was too rich in oxygen for most galactic species. What humans breathed without thought would burn alien lungs in minutes. Emma Collins sat across from Jake, reviewing her data pad. She had spent the 3-week journey preparing a tour that would show the aliens exactly what kind of world Earth really was. Jake had seen her itinerary. It was thorough and completely merciless. The ship landed at the human diplomatic compound in Brazil, just outside the Amazon rainforest. As the doors opened, heat rolled into the cabin like a physical wave. Several aliens stumbled backward. The temperature was 35 degrees Celsius with 90% humidity. A pleasant spring day by human standards. Dr. Lisa Grant waited at the landing pad. The Earth biologist wore light clothing and no breathing equipment. She smiled as the alien delegation emerged one by one, all of them covered in environmental suits that whirred and clicked as they fought to keep their wearers alive. "Welcome to Earth," Lisa said. "I hope you're ready for an educational experience." Straightened himself and tried to look dignified despite his bulky suit. "We are here to conduct an objective assessment. Please begin the tour." Lisa led them toward the forest edge. Even from a distance, the aliens could see the density of the vegetation. Trees reached heights that made several delegates gasp. The sounds of the rainforest were overwhelming. Birds called. Insects buzzed. Something large moved through the canopy above. Captain Hayes walked beside the group, his hand resting on a weapon. The security officer was there officially to protect the alien visitors. Unofficially, he was there to watch them realize how dangerous Earth truly was. "The Amazon contains more biodiversity than most entire planets," Lisa explained as they entered the forest. "We've cataloged over 40,000 plant species, and we estimate we haven't found even half of them yet." The aliens walked slowly, their environmental suits making movement difficult. One delegate from a low-gravity world struggled with every step. Earth's gravity was crushing her. Her species had evolved on a world with 30% less gravitational pull. They had barely walked 50 meters when Lisa stopped and pointed at a tree. "This is a bullet ant. Don't touch it." An insect the size of a human thumb crawled along the bark. It looked harmless enough, but the aliens gave it plenty of space after Emma explained what it could do. "The sting from this ant is rated as the most painful insect sting on Earth," Emma said. "Victims describe it as feeling like being shot, hence the name. The pain lasts for 24 hours and can cause temporary paralysis." Stared at the insect, "And humans live near these creatures." "We live with them," Jake said. "There are worse things in this forest." As if to prove his point, a snake dropped from a branch ahead of them. It was 3 meters long and thick as Jake's arm, moved forward casually and used a stick to encourage the snake to move off the path. The reptile slithered away into the undergrowth. "Boa constrictor," said. "Non-venomous. We have over 300 species of snakes in South America. 50 of them can kill you with a single bite." One of the alien delegates made a noise that his translator rendered as distress. "You allow deadly predators to roam freely." "We don't allow it," Lisa said. "They were here first. Humans adapted to live alongside them." They continued deeper into the forest. The aliens saw poison dart frogs with skin bright enough to hurt the eyes. They watched jaguars track them from the shadows. They learned about parasites that could burrow into flesh and plants with thorns that caused infections lasting weeks. An hour into the tour, one of his assistants collapsed. The alien had been bitten by something so small no one had seen it. Emma checked the wound and found 2 tiny marks. "Spider bite," she said. Probably a wandering spider, not fatal to humans, but his biology can't handle the venom. They had to carry the assistant back to the compound. Human medical staff treated him with anti-venom while the rest of the delegation watched. The alien would survive, but only because humans had developed medicine to counter Earth's toxins. On any other world in the galaxy, that spider bite would have been a death sentence. The next day, they flew to Australia. If the Amazon had shocked the aliens, the outback horrified them. The temperature climbed to 42 degrees. The aliens' environmental suits screamed warnings about heat stroke. Humans walked around in light clothing and hats, comfortable in conditions that would cook most galactic species. Lisa introduced them to kangaroos, which the aliens classified as terrifying predators based on their size and powerful legs. She showed them spiders the size of dinner plates and jellyfish that could kill with a touch. She explained that Australia was home to 20 of the 25 most venomous snakes on Earth. By the third day, Skin had lost all its color. He sat in the compound's common area, his environmental suit plugged into a charging station, and stared at nothing. "Your world is trying to kill us," he said quietly when Jake sat down nearby. "Our world is just existing," Jake replied. "You're the ones who aren't adapted to it." "How did your species survive?" asked. "Every creature we've encountered could kill us. Your insects are deadly. Your plants are toxic. Even your weather is hostile. Humans should have gone extinct before developing basic tools." Emma joined them with a cup of coffee. The smell made flinch. Caffeine was poisonous to most aliens. "We survived because we learned to adapt," Emma said. "Humans developed persistence hunting. We can track prey for days without stopping. We learned to recognize patterns and avoid danger. We created medicine from the same plants and animals that tried to kill us. Earth taught us to be clever, tough, and stubborn." Captain walked over carrying a data pad. "High Chancellor just sent a message. He's coming to Earth personally. Says he wants to see the assessment firsthand." Jake exchanged looks with Emma. The head of the Galactic Council was taking this seriously. That was good. It meant they couldn't hide the truth anymore. Arrived 2 days later with a personal guard and his own team of scientists. The avian chancellor refused to leave the climate-controlled compound at first, but Emma convinced him to at least observe from a protected vehicle. They drove to the coast to show him a forming hurricane. The aliens watched satellite images as the storm system grew, spinning into a massive engine of destruction. On most civilized worlds, weather was predictable and gentle. Earth spawned storms that could level cities. "This happens regularly?" asked. "Hurricane season runs from June to November in this hemisphere," Lisa explained. "We track dozens of major storms every year. Some have winds exceeding 300 kilometers per hour." From the coast, they flew north to the Arctic. The aliens thought the cold would be easier to handle than the heat. They were wrong. The temperature was -30 degrees. The wind made it feel like -50. Human researchers worked at the station wearing insulated clothing, but they still went outside regularly. The aliens couldn't leave their heated transport without risking immediate death. "Your planet has too many extremes," said. His translator made his voice sound strained. "No world should have this much variation." "Earth has 5 distinct climate zones," Emma said. "We have deserts where the temperature reaches 50 degrees and polar regions where it drops below -60. Humans live in all of them." On their final day, Jake took them to a human hospital in New York. Dr. Chris Martinez met them there. The virologist had prepared a presentation that would change how the galaxy saw humanity forever. Chris led them to a secure observation room overlooking a containment lab. Inside the lab, scientists in protective suits worked with sealed containers. "What you're seeing," Chris explained, "is our infectious disease research center. Earth is home to thousands of bacteria and viruses. Many of them are deadly. Some can kill in hours. Others take years but are just as lethal in the end. Stared through the glass. Other worlds have diseases. Not like ours, Chris said. Earth diseases evolved in one of the harshest environments in the galaxy. They're aggressive, adaptable, and incredibly resilient. We've had pandemics that killed millions before we developed proper medicine. And here's the thing that should worry you. Humans carry many of these pathogens naturally. We build immunity through exposure. What makes us sick for a week could wipe out an entire alien population. Turned to look at Chris. The skin had gone completely white. You're saying humans are biological weapons. We're saying humans are products of Emma corrected. Everything about us evolved to survive Earth. Our immune systems are military-grade compared to most species. We heal from injuries that would be fatal to others. We can eat foods that are toxic to most of the galaxy. Even our children are tougher than adult aliens. Was silent for a long moment. Finally, he spoke, and his voice carried a weight that hadn't been there before. The Council needs to convene an emergency session, he said. Earth is not a Class 2 world. It never was. Someone changed that classification deliberately, and I intend to find out why. Jake felt a surge of satisfaction. The truth was finally coming out. The galaxy was about to learn what humans had known all along. They were. And the Council had been lying about it for years. The desert sun beat down on the Australian outback with the kind of intensity that made the air shimmer and dance. Jake checked his watch. It was noon, and the temperature had reached 45 degrees Celsius. He wore a light shirt, pants, and a hat. Nothing special. Standard clothing for a hot day. 20 meters away, Ambassador sat in the shade of a portable cooling unit, wrapped in his environmental suit, and looked like he might die anyway. His skin had turned a pale gray that Emma said meant severe distress in physiology. 2 other aliens from his assessment team had already been evacuated back to the compound with heat-related illness. High Chancellor stood near, his feathers drooping in the heat despite his own cooling equipment. The avian leader had insisted on continuing the tour even after seeing the Amazon and the Arctic. Jake suspected wanted to see just how bad things could get. "How do you tolerate this?" asked. His translator gave his words a wheezing quality. "We sweat," Jake said simply. "Humans have millions of sweat glands. We're one of the few species that can cool ourselves through evaporation. It lets us function in temperatures that would cook most animals." Dr. Lisa Grant emerged from a research vehicle carrying a container. "I want to show you something," she said to the alien delegation. She opened the container carefully. Inside, a large spider sat motionless on a piece of bark. "This is a Sydney funnel-web spider," Lisa explained. "Its venom can kill a human child in 15 minutes without treatment. For most galactic species, death would occur in under 5 minutes. We have anti-venom now, but for thousands of years, humans just learned to avoid them and survive in the same environment." One of the alien scientists made a sound of disbelief. "Your ancestors lived with these creatures and no protection." "Our ancestors lived with worse," Emma said. She pulled up an image on her data pad showing a prehistoric cave painting. "Humans survived ice ages, megafauna extinctions, volcanic winters, and plagues that killed massive portions of our population. We're still here because we're very, very hard to kill." The day wore on. The aliens watched as human researchers worked in the blazing heat, collecting samples and documenting wildlife. A kangaroo bounded past, and the aliens scattered in alarm at the sight of the powerful animal. The humans barely looked up from their work. By late afternoon, Even admitted defeat. "We need to return to the compound," he said. "This environment is beyond our tolerance." The transport flight back gave the aliens a chance to recover in climate-controlled comfort. Jake sat next to Emma and watched the Australian landscape roll past below. Red earth, sparse vegetation, and heat waves visible from 1,000 meters up. It was beautiful in a harsh sort of way. "Captain sent a message," Emma said quietly. The council is demanding answers about the classification change. Several members are calling for a formal investigation. Good, Jake replied. It's about time. They landed at the compound as the sun was setting. The temperature had dropped to a relatively cool 38 degrees. The aliens still needed their environmental suits. The humans enjoyed the pleasant evening breeze. A new ship had arrived while they were in the outback. Jake recognized the design, military vessel, human-made. That meant Command was taking this situation seriously. Commander Allen met them at the landing pad. The military officer was tall and looked like he had spent his entire career in dangerous places, which, Jake knew, was exactly true. Had served in the colony expansion forces and had seen dozens of worlds. High Chancellor said with a respectful nod, I've been ordered to provide additional context for your assessment. What kind of context? Asked. The kind that explains why Earth isn't just dangerous, it's uniquely dangerous, said. Follow me. He led them to a secure facility on the compound's edge. The building was reinforced concrete with multiple security checkpoints. Inside, the walls were lined with containment units and warning signs in 12 languages. Dr. Chris Martinez met them in the main laboratory. The virologist looked tired but energized, the way people looked when they were about to reveal something important. Welcome to the Infectious Disease Research Center, Chris said. Yesterday I showed you what Earth diseases look like. Today I'm going to explain what they mean for the rest of the galaxy. He pulled up a holographic display showing a microscopic organism. It twisted and pulsed with alien life. This is the common cold virus, Chris said. On Earth, it's a minor annoyance. Humans catch it, feel sick for a few days, and recover. Our immune systems handle it easily. He paused and looked at the aliens. We ran simulations based on physiology. If this virus infected Ambassador, he would be dead in 48 hours. Skin flashed through several colors before settling on a deep purple that Emma's cultural database said indicated fear. One virus? Asked. One of thousands, Chris said. Earth hosts an incredible number of pathogens. They evolved in an environment of extreme competition. Only the strongest survived, and humans evolved right alongside them, developing immune systems capable of fighting off threats that would devastate species from gentler worlds. He pulled up another display. This one showed a human cell being attacked by a pathogen. The aliens watched as the immune system responded, destroying the invader efficiently. Human immunity is aggressive, Chris continued. We don't just fight diseases, we remember them. Once exposed, our bodies create defenses that last years or even lifetimes. We also carry beneficial bacteria that help us digest food and fight infections. A human body contains trillions of microorganisms. Most of them are harmless to us. Many would be deadly to you. Daniel Park stepped forward. The anthropologist had been quiet during most of the tour, but now he had the floor. He pulled up images of early humans, their tools, and their migrations across continents. Let me tell you how humans conquered Earth, Daniel said. We're not the strongest species. We're not the fastest. We're not the most venomous or the best camouflaged. What we have is endurance and intelligence. He showed footage of a human running. The video was sped up to show hours compressed into minutes. The human just kept running, never stopping, never slowing significantly. Persistence hunting, Daniel explained. Humans can run for hours in heat that would kill most predators. We tracked prey until they collapsed from exhaustion. No other species on Earth can match our endurance. We're built for distance, not speed. More images appeared. Humans using spears, making fire, building shelters, creating art and language and tools that let them dominate every environment on the planet. We spread from Africa to every continent, Daniel said. We crossed oceans on wooden rafts. We climbed mountains that reached above the clouds. We survived in deserts and tundra and jungles. Everywhere humans went, we adapted. And here's the crucial part. We did all of this before we had advanced technology. Stone Age humans survived Earth. Think about that. Was silent. His feathers had stopped moving, which Jake had learned meant deep thought in avian species. There's something else, Emma said. She stepped forward with her data pad. Commander, can you confirm the incident on Station Vega? Nodded grimly. 3 months ago, a human merchant named Sanders was exposed to a Class 4 biotoxin at a trade station. The toxin is known to be fatal to all carbon-based life forms. Standard exposure causes death in 30 seconds. What happened to this human? Asked. He got sick for about 6 hours, said. Vomited twice. Had a fever. Then he recovered completely. Station medical staff ran tests. His immune system had neutralized the toxin and built antibodies against it. He's now immune to a substance that has a 100% fatality rate for every other species we've tested. The alien stared at in silence. That's not an isolated incident, Emma added. We've documented 47 cases of humans surviving exposures that should have been fatal, radiation levels that cause cellular breakdown, toxins that dissolve organic tissue, diseases with no known cure. Humans keep surviving because our bodies evolved on a planet that constantly tried to kill us. Chris pulled up one final display. This one showed a comparison chart. Earth's ratings versus every other inhabited world in the galaxy. We analyzed the data honestly, Chris said. Earth exceeds the Class 7 parameters in multiple categories. Gravity is higher than 98% of inhabited worlds. Atmospheric oxygen content is toxic to most species. Biodiversity includes more lethal organisms per square kilometer than any other known planet. Weather patterns are extreme and unpredictable. The tectonic activity causes earthquakes and volcanic eruptions regularly, and the disease load is unprecedented. He looked at directly. Earth isn't just it's possibly the most dangerous inhabited planet in known space, and humans evolved here. We're not tough because we trained to be. We're tough because anything less would have gone extinct. Finally spoke. His voice was quiet but carried clearly in the laboratory. The classification was changed deliberately, wasn't it? Yes, Emma said. She pulled up the documents she had found weeks ago. The original survey team rated Earth accurately. Someone in the Council administration ordered the change. They buried the data and replaced it with a false report that made Earth seem harmless. Stood slowly. His environmental suit hissed as it adjusted. When he spoke, his skin showed the blue of honesty. It was done on my recommendation, admitted. The words seemed to cause him physical pain. I was a junior analyst when humanity made first contact. I saw the survey data. I saw what your world was truly like, and I was terrified. Jake felt anger surge but kept his voice level. So you lied to the entire galaxy. I recommended caution, said. I argued that if other species knew humans came from such a harsh world, they would fear you. They would see you as potential threats. My supervisors agreed. We changed the classification to buy time, to let humanity integrate slowly. We thought we were protecting the peace. You were protecting your own position, Emma said coldly. By keeping us classified as Class 2, you kept us weak. We couldn't access the same trade routes as species. We couldn't demand the respect we deserved. You made us seem like we were exaggerating our own capabilities. I know, said. His skin had turned pale gray again. I know what I did, and I have no defense except fear. I was afraid of what humanity might become. Spread his wings in a gesture of finality. The Council will hear the truth, all of it. Ambassador, you will testify to your actions. Emma, Jake, you will present your evidence. This deception ends now. Jake looked at Emma. They had won. The truth was coming out. But as he watched the aliens file out of the laboratory, all of them shaken and scared, he wondered what would happen next. The galaxy was about to learn that Earth was a And now they had to decide what to do about the humans who had survived it. The Galactic Council chamber had never been so crowded. Every seat was filled. Delegates who normally sent representatives had come in person. The gallery overflowed with observers from hundreds of worlds. News feeds from across known space broadcast the emergency session live. Everyone wanted to see what would happen when humanity's secret was finally revealed. Jake stood in the human delegation section and felt the weight of thousands of eyes on him. Emma Collins stood beside him, calm and focused despite the magnitude of what they were about to do. This wasn't just about trade status anymore. This was about forcing the galaxy to see humanity for what it truly was. High Chancellor called the session to order. The avian leader's voice carried across the massive chamber through speakers and translators. "We are here to address a matter of grave importance," announced. "Evidence has emerged that Earth's classification as a habitable world was deliberately. The Council will now hear testimony regarding this deception and its implications." A murmur ran through the crowd. Even though rumors had been spreading for weeks, hearing it stated officially made it real. Gestured toward the speaking platform. "Ambassador of Prime will speak first." Moved to the platform slowly. The diplomat's skin showed a pattern Jake had learned meant shame in culture. When spoke, his voice was steady but filled with regret. 26 years ago, I was part of the team that conducted Earth's initial survey, began. What we found terrified us. Earth exceeded every parameter for classification. The gravity, the atmosphere, the biodiversity, the weather patterns, everything was extreme. We classified it as Class 7, the highest rating for any inhabited planet. The chamber erupted in noise. Delegates shouted questions. Others demanded explanations. Raised his wings for silence. Continued. "I recommended that the classification be changed. I argued that revealing Earth's true nature would cause fear and instability. My superiors agreed. We altered the database and released a sanitized version that made Earth appear safe and ordinary. I believed I was protecting galactic peace. I was wrong." Jake watched as the reality sank in across the chamber. Species that had dismissed humanity for decades were realizing they had been lied to. "The human delegation will now present their evidence," said. Emma walked to the platform and connected her data pad to the chamber's display system. Immediately, documents and images filled the massive screens surrounding the chamber. "This is the original survey of Earth," Emma said. Her voice was clear and professional. "It documents a world where the baseline environmental conditions would kill most galactic species in hours without protection. Oxygen levels that are toxic, gravity that is crushing, temperature ranges that span over 100 degrees, and that's before we discuss the life forms." She pulled up images of Earth's creatures, not the cute ones that appeared in human tourism materials. The dangerous ones, sharks with rows of teeth, crocodiles capable of crushing bone, spiders, snakes, jellyfish, and 1,000 other organisms that could kill with ease. "Earth's biodiversity includes more venomous and toxic species than any other inhabited world on record," Emma explained. "A human child walking through a garden might encounter dozens of potentially lethal organisms. We learn to identify and avoid danger before we learn to read." Dr. Helen Foster joined Emma at the platform. The human scientist pulled up a comparison chart that showed Earth against every other classified in the galaxy. "We conducted a comprehensive analysis," Helen said. "Earth scores higher in danger metrics than every currently classified Class 7 world. In fact, based on objective criteria, Earth should be classified as Class 8. Shocked sounds echoed through the chamber. Class 8 had never been used. It was a theoretical category for worlds considered too dangerous to produce intelligent life. "But humans exist," one delegate called out. "How is that possible?" "Because we adapted," Jake said, stepping forward to join Emma and Helen. "Humans evolved alongside Earth's dangers. We're not surviving despite our world. We survived because of it. Earth made us tough. Commander Allen approached the platform carrying a data storage unit. I have documented cases of human resilience that the Council needs to see. He uploaded files to the display. Incident reports from trade stations, colonies, and ships across the galaxy. Humans surviving accidents that should have been fatal, recovering from injuries that would cripple other species, fighting off diseases with no known cure. Here's one from Station Vega, said, highlighting a report. Human exposed to Class 4 biotoxin. Expected time of death, 30 seconds. Actual result, full recovery in 6 hours. More reports followed. A human surviving decompression for 90 seconds. Another healing from wounds that had severed major blood vessels. A human pilot flying for 48 hours straight during an emergency, something that should have been physically impossible. These aren't isolated incidents, continued. Human baseline capabilities exceed galactic norms in almost every category. We have greater endurance, faster healing, and immune systems that function like military defense networks, and we consider ourselves average. Emma pulled up medical scans showing human physiology in detail. Our bones are denser than most species. Our muscles are more efficient. Our cardiovascular system can handle extreme variations in demand. We heal from injuries that would be permanent for others. We can go days without food or water. We can function in pain levels that would incapacitate most galactic citizens. And here's what should truly concern the Council, Helen added. Humans are still evolving. We're still adapting. We're getting stronger, tougher, and more capable with each generation. Earth continues to shape us. A delegate from an aquatic world stood. Her translator made her question clear despite her species' complex language. If humans are this dangerous, why haven't they conquered other worlds? Why haven't they used their advantages to dominate? Jake had been waiting for this question. He took the platform and looked across the thousands of assembled delegates. Because strength doesn't mean cruelty, Jake said. Earth taught us to be tough, but it also taught us something else. It taught us that survival requires cooperation. No human survives alone on Earth. We learned to work together, to share knowledge, to help each other. Those instincts didn't disappear when we reached the stars. He pulled up records of human actions across the galaxy. Medical aid missions, rescue operations, humans volunteering for dangerous work that others couldn't survive. Time and again, humans using their advantages to help instead of harm. 3 years ago, a mining accident on 7 trapped 200 workers underground, Jake said, showing video footage. The mine was filling with toxic gas. Local rescue teams couldn't reach the workers because the conditions were too harsh. Humans went in. We spent 36 hours in an environment that should have killed us, and we brought every worker out alive. More examples followed. Humans fighting fires on colony worlds. Humans diving into toxic seas to repair critical infrastructure. Humans volunteering for medical experiments that tested treatments too dangerous for others to risk. We don't hide what we are, Emma said. We just want to be partners, not threats. The Council's deception hurt humanity, but it also hurt the galaxy. How many problems could have been solved if people knew what humans were capable of? How many lives could have been saved? Daniel Park stepped forward for the final presentation. The anthropologist had prepared something special. I want to talk about human children, Daniel said. The shift in topic confused some delegates. On Earth, children play in environments that would terrify most of you. They climb trees that reach 30 meters high. They swim in water with predators. They run and jump and fall and get hurt, and then they heal and do it again. He showed footage of human children playing. To the aliens, it looked like controlled chaos. Kids running at full speed, climbing obstacles, wrestling with each other, laughing and shouting with joy. This is how humans develop, Daniel explained. We learn to handle danger by experiencing it young. A human child falls and breaks a bone. We heal it and they learn to be more careful. This builds physical toughness and mental resilience. By the time we reach adulthood, we've survived thousands of minor injuries that would be serious trauma for most species. He paused and looked across the chamber. When you see humans, you're seeing the survivors of the deadliest childhood in the galaxy. We didn't choose this. We just grew up on Earth. The chamber was silent now. The weight of revelation had settled on everyone, stood and spread his wings. The Council must vote on Earth's proper classification, said. All evidence points to Class 8 designation. However, this is unprecedented. I open the floor for discussion. What followed was hours of debate. Some delegates argued for strict protocols to limit human movement. Others called for celebration of human capabilities. A few suggested quarantine measures, but slowly a consensus emerged. A senior delegate from the collective finally stood. Her species was one of the oldest in the galaxy, respected for wisdom and experience. We have been afraid, she said. We have let fear guide our decisions regarding humanity, but fear is not wisdom. Humans have shown restraint, compassion, and a willingness to help others despite their advantages. They deserve honesty and respect in return. Other delegates voiced agreement. One by one, species that had voted against humanity for years changed their positions. When the vote was called, the result was overwhelming. Earth would be reclassified as Class 8. Humans would receive full recognition as a species with all associated rights and status. The records would be corrected and made public. But more than that, the Council voted to issue a formal apology to humanity. They acknowledged the deception and the harm it had caused. Stood one final time. I resign my position as ambassador, he said. I cannot undo my actions, but I can accept their consequences. I only ask that humanity forgive not just me, but the fear that motivated the deception. Fear is powerful, but it should never guide policy. Jake looked at Emma. They had won, not just a political victory, but something deeper. The galaxy was finally seeing humans clearly. As the session ended and delegates filed out, many approached the human section. Some offered apologies. Others expressed excitement about future cooperation. A few admitted they had always suspected humanity was more dangerous than official records suggested. High Chancellor approached Jake and Emma personally. What happens now? The avian leader asked. Now we build trust, Emma said. The truth is out. What we do with it determines the future. Earth is Jake added. But humans are more than just survivors. We're partners, friends, and allies. The galaxy is about to find out what we can accomplish when we're not being held back. Nodded slowly. I believe we are all about to learn a great deal. Jake watched the delegates leave, saw the news feeds broadcasting the session results across the galaxy, and felt a sense of completion. The secret was out. Humanity had forced the galaxy to admit the truth. Now they had to prove that being from didn't make them monsters. It made them stronger, yes. But more importantly, it made them valuable in ways the galaxy was just beginning to understand. The revelation was complete. The real work was about to begin. 6 months had passed since the Galactic Council officially reclassified Earth as a Class 8. Jake stood at the window of his new office in the human embassy on Harmony Prime and watched ships arrive and depart from hundreds of different worlds. Everything had changed, and yet the galaxy kept turning. Emma Collins entered carrying 2 cups of coffee. She handed one to Jake and joined him at the window. The title on her door now read Director of Biology. She had earned it through months of hard work rebuilding trust between humans and the rest of the galaxy. The delegation just arrived, Emma said. Ambassador wants to discuss the exchange program. Jake nodded. Had replaced after the scandal, and the new ambassador had proven to be genuinely interested in understanding humanity rather than fearing it. That attitude was becoming more common, but progress was slow. How many applications do we have now? Jake asked. 412 aliens want to visit Earth as part of the cultural exchange, Emma replied. We can only accept 50 for the first group. The selection process is brutal. The exchange program had been Emma's idea. Instead of hiding Earth's dangers, they would teach aliens how to survive them. It was controversial, but it was working. The first group of alien visitors was scheduled to arrive on Earth in 2 weeks. A chime sounded from Jake's desk. He checked the display and smiled. Captain sent an update from Earth. The first joint human-alien rescue training program graduated yesterday. 12 aliens completed the full course. How many started? Emma asked. 30. They both fell silent. The numbers told their own story. Earth was hard. Even with human instructors and the best protective equipment, most aliens couldn't handle extended exposure to human baseline conditions. But those who completed the training became valuable assets. They understood Earth and humans in ways that changed how they saw the galaxy. A knock at the door interrupted their conversation. High Chancellor entered without waiting for permission, as he often did these days. The avian leader had become a frequent visitor to the human embassy. We have a situation, said without preamble. The Confederation is threatening to restrict human access to their space stations. They claim humans pose a biological hazard. Jake felt anger rise but kept his voice calm. What kind of hazard? They tested air samples from stations with human populations, explained. They found traces of Earth bacteria. Now they're demanding that all humans undergo extensive decontamination before entering facilities. Emma set down her coffee. The bacteria they found are probably normal human skin flora. We carry trillions of harmless microorganisms. They're not dangerous unless biology is incredibly fragile. That's exactly what I told them, said. But fear is still stronger than reason for many species. We need a solution that addresses their concerns without treating humans like walking plagues. Maria appeared in the doorway. The human teacher had been running educational programs for young aliens interested in Earth studies. Her students loved her, but she looked worried now. Sorry to interrupt, Maria said, but this involves my program. One of the students was withdrawn by his parents. They said they don't want their child near humans anymore. Jake exchanged looks with Emma, and this was the pushback they had been expecting. Not everyone was happy about humanity's new status. We need to show them the truth, Emma said. Not the scary parts, the other truth, the one about what humans actually do with our abilities. Commander Allen had been working on something for weeks. Jake contacted him and asked him to come to the embassy. An hour later, arrived with a data chip containing what he called his evidence file. I've been collecting this since the council session, explained as he loaded the data. Every time humans helped another species, I documented it. Every rescue, every medical mission, every time we used our advantages to save lives instead of take them. The display filled with incident reports, video footage, and testimonials from dozens of species. Humans diving into burning buildings to save alien families. Humans enduring toxic environments to repair critical systems. Humans volunteering for medical research that tested treatments too dangerous for others. This is the mining disaster from 4 months ago, said, pulling up a specific file. Cave-in on Prime. 200 miners trapped. Local rescue teams couldn't reach them because of toxic gas and unstable rock. 3 humans went in. They worked for 16 hours straight in conditions that should have killed them. They brought out 197 miners alive. He pulled up another file. This is from Station Harmony 7. A child fell into a ventilation shaft. The shaft was too narrow for adult to enter, and the temperature inside would cook most species. A human maintenance worker named Sanders climbed down 80 meters in near-boiling heat and brought the child out safely. More files followed. humans helping traders during pirate attacks, humans providing disaster relief after a hurricane hit a colony, humans sharing medical knowledge that saved thousands of lives. Send this to the Confederation, said. Send it to their leadership and their media. Let them see what humans really do. The response came within days. The government quietly dropped their restrictions. More than that, they issued a public statement thanking humanity for assistance during various crises. It wasn't a complete victory, but it was progress. Dr. Helen Foster arrived from Earth with her latest research. The scientist had spent 6 months studying how human biology affected interactions with other species. Her findings were both fascinating and troubling. "We need to be honest about the risks," Helen said during a presentation to the embassy staff. "Humans do carry organisms that could harm some species. It's not intentional and it's not malicious, but it's real. We need protocols." Emma worked with Helen to develop safety guidelines. Simple things like washing hands before interacting with sensitive species, humans taking immune suppressants when working in certain environments, medical screening before visiting worlds with vulnerable populations. "The key is transparency," Emma explained to a gathering of alien diplomats. "We're not hiding what we are anymore. If you know a human might carry organisms you're sensitive to, we can take precautions. But we can't do that if everyone is too afraid to talk about it." The exchange program launched 2 weeks later. 50 aliens from 30 different species arrived on Earth. They spent their first week in controlled environments, learning about Earth's dangers through simulation and classroom instruction. Then they ventured outside. Jake and Emma accompanied the first group to a national park in North America. The aliens wore environmental suits, but they were lighter than before, better designed, more comfortable. Technology had improved rapidly once engineers understood the real challenges. They walked through a forest. The aliens marveled at trees that reached higher than buildings on there. They saw deer and were shocked that humans considered them harmless. They learned to identify poisonous plants and dangerous insects, and slowly they began to understand. "Your world is beautiful," one alien said. She was from a water world where the biggest predator was the size of Jake's hand. "Terrifying but beautiful." "That's Earth," Jake agreed. "It's both." By the end of the month, the first exchange group had completed their training. 3 aliens had dropped out due to medical issues, but the remaining 47 graduated with a new understanding of Earth and humanity. Several requested extended stays to continue learning. Dr. Chris Martinez sent updates from the Medical Research Center. His team had been working with alien scientists to develop treatments for cross-species health issues. The cooperation was producing results faster than anyone had expected. "We just created a vaccine that protects from human common cold virus," Chris reported during a video call. "It's a breakthrough. This means humans can interact safely without extensive protective equipment." Similar research projects were happening across multiple fields. Human engineers working with alien designers to create habitats that could support multiple species. Human doctors sharing knowledge about emergency medicine that worked across different biologies. Human teachers developing educational programs that prepared young aliens for a galaxy that included. Not everyone was happy about the changes. A protest movement emerged on several worlds. They called themselves the Safety Coalition and demanded restrictions on human travel and interaction. Their leader was a politician named who had built a career on fear. "Humans are dangerous," said during a widely broadcast speech. "They should be confined to their own system. Letting them roam freely is inviting disaster." Jake watched the speech with growing concern. Had support, not a majority, but enough to cause problems. The galaxy was splitting into 2 camps, those who saw humans as valuable partners and those who saw them as threats. The decision came from an unexpected source. A young scientist named published a paper about human cooperation. She had been studying humans for months, and her conclusions challenged the Safety Coalition narrative. Humans have been active in galactic society for 3 decades, wrote. In that time, there has not been a single incident of humans using their biological advantages to deliberately harm another species. Not one. Instead, we have documented over 10,000 incidents of humans helping others, often at great personal risk. The evidence is clear. Humans are not monsters. They are allies. The paper went viral across galactic networks. Other scientists added their own research. Video footage of humans helping aliens spread through social media. The tide of opinion began to shift. 2 months after the exchange program began, the Galactic Council held a vote on proposals from the Safety Coalition to restrict human activities. The proposals failed by a large margin. Instead, the Council passed new initiatives to expand cooperation with humanity. Jake stood in the council chamber and watched the vote count appear on the display. Emma stood beside him, and he could feel her relief matching his own. "We won," Emma said quietly. "We're winning," Jake corrected. "This is going to be a long process." High Chancellor approached them after the session. "The vote today was important, but it's not the end. There will always be those who fear change. The question is how humanity responds." "We keep doing what we've been doing," Jake said. "We help, we teach, we prove through actions that being from a doesn't make us dangerous, it makes us capable." Maria sent a message that evening. One of her students, the young whose parents had withdrawn him from the program, had been re-enrolled. The boy's father had watched the council session and changed his mind. "He told me he wants his son to understand humans," Maria's message said. "He said fear almost made him deny his child an important education. He thanked me for being patient." Small victories, they added up over time. 6 months after the reclassification, Earth received a formal request from the collective. The ancient species wanted to establish an embassy on Earth, not in orbit, not on a space station, on Earth itself. They wanted their diplomats to experience humanity's firsthand. "This is huge," Emma said when the request came through. "The collective is the most respected species in the galaxy. If they embrace humans, others will follow." The embassy was built in a location chosen specifically for its challenges: mountains, forests, and weather that changed with the seasons. The diplomats arrived with the best environmental suits money could buy. Within a month, they were requesting lighter equipment so they could move more freely. Jake visited the embassy 3 months after it opened. Ambassador greeted him personally. The elderly moved slowly but with dignity. "Your world has taught me much," said. "I have lived 300 years and I thought I understood strength. But Earth shows me a different kind of strength. Not the strength of conquest, but the strength of endurance, of adapting, of surviving what should be impossible and choosing to be kind anyway." "That's the lesson we hope the galaxy learns," Jake replied. "They are learning," assured him. "Slowly but surely, the young especially. They see humans and think about what is possible rather than what is frightening." A year after the revelation, the Galactic Council established the Studies Institute. Its purpose was to research extreme environments and the species that evolved in them. Humans played a major role in the Institute's work, but they weren't the only focus. Other species received attention and respect they had been for generations. Emma became the Institute's first human director. Her work focused on building understanding between species from vastly different environments. She developed training programs, safety protocols, and cultural exchange initiatives that brought the galaxy closer together. Jake remained as Earth's ambassador. His job was different now. Instead of fighting for recognition, he worked on maintaining the relationships humanity had built. It was slower work, less dramatic but equally important. They stood together on the observation deck one evening, watching ships move through Harmony Prime's traffic lanes. more ships than ever before, more species interacting, more cooperation. "Do you ever think about how different things could have been?" Emma asked, "if had told the truth from the beginning?" "Sometimes," Jake admitted. "But maybe it needed to happen this way. Maybe the galaxy needed to be forced to see us clearly. Maybe we needed to prove ourselves." "And have we proven ourselves?" Jake thought about the exchange programs, the research partnerships, the rescue missions, and the thousand small moments of humans and aliens working together. "We're proving it every day," he said. "Not by being fearsome, by being helpful, by showing that survivors from the deadliest world in the galaxy can choose compassion over conquest." Emma smiled. "Earth made us tough, but we chose what to do with that toughness." "And that choice matters more than anything else," Jake agreed. The stars shined beyond the observation deck. Somewhere out there, humans were working alongside aliens, teaching and learning, helping and being helped, building a future where being from A was a source of strength and pride, not fear. The truth was out. Earth was dangerous. Humans were capable of surviving what would kill most species, but they were also capable of using that strength to make the galaxy safer for everyone. That was the real revelation. Not that humans were tough, but that they chose to be kind. And that choice, more than any physical capability, was what would define humanity's place among the stars. The galaxy had bowed in admission of the truth about. Now it was learning the more important truth about the humans who survived one. They were partners worth having,